Hey YouTube, it's the Rift Mage. Today I'm bringing you guys a Toyota 2020 Gr Supra drift tune. So as you guys can see, this car drifts amazing. I'm gonna go over some of the parts that I put on this tune, and then I'm gonna go over the actual tune of the car so you can copy it and adjust it to your liking, but I'll also include a share code at the end of the video. So in this car, we did swap out the engine to the 6.2 liter V8. I've been loving this engine block for drift tunes. It's very well balanced, and you don't need to add any forced induction to it, which is kind of cool. As I said, we're keeping the car naturally aspirated, so no turbos, no supercharger. We stayed rear wheel drive, and we did not put the body kit on it. Car's aero is all stock. We are running snow tires for this particular build, which is pretty common for most of my builds. And we are, I believe, on stock tire width for both the front and rear. We did not space out the track width at all, left it stock. Most of this car is race parts where you can get it. If there's a drift part, put the drift part on it. So race clutch, drift transmission, drift differential, race driveline. That's going to stay consistent for the most of the car. Race brakes, so we have total tuning over the biasing. This helps greatly when you're trying to do things like left foot braking. Drift springs, race sway bars, roll cage has been installed, and we have done a full racing weight reduction on this car. The Supra is a very heavy car. Without the weight reduction, we're almost 3,500 pounds. That's pretty intense. Even with the weight reduction, we're just under 3,000 at 2,850. So this was necessary. I believe for all of our parts in here, we have raced them out. Every single thing here that can be a race part is a race part. If you wanted to tune this car down slightly to fit into some kind of restraint for a challenge or something, I would recommend definitely getting the race cams, and then you could probably make do with backing off with some of the other parts to lower the horsepower. As it stands, this car is not wildly out of control because we're not using forced induction. It's still higher at 660 horsepower, but it's not obnoxious once you know you're in like the 1,000 plus range. I'll briefly go over some of the tuning settings on this car. I'm not going to get too in detail. I have a lot of videos breaking down what every single parameter controls in a car, so if you do want more information, you could check out one of those videos. I suggest my ultimate drift tuning guide. So to get the car sliding in a way that I think is very comfy, this is the tire pressure that we ended up with. Slightly less pressure in the rear, which seems to give me just a little tiny bit more control when I'm on the throttle and keeping the car sideways. This was a good gearing ratio, which lets me stay in second and third gear for most courses. Here's the alignment we ended up with. I noticed just before making this, we were at about a positive 0.2 toe out in the front, and I noticed that was just making the car over rotate ever so slightly. I found backing this into the toe in territory of just negative 0.1 was enough to make this car kind of just reel it back in, and it feels really good. So this is what we ended up with all of our settings here. Here's our anti-roll bars. This made the car, along with the springs and damping settings, all kind of leveled out to really feel the car's weight shift when you are transitioning from side to side or doing things like adding brake during a drift, and how the car's weight will push back forward. So here's where we ended up there. There's our spring settings. We almost always favor the ratio of having a stiffer front end to a little bit softer of a rear end. That's going to stay consistent on almost all of my builds between the anti-roll bars, the springs, and the damping settings. Feel free to pause and copy anything that you want to, but again, the share code will be at the end of the video. Aero doesn't exist on this car. Tuning your brake biasing is going to depend on the racing wheel or controller setup that you are on. I found for me, tuning with a brake bias of around 80%, meaning that the front brakes are doing 80% of the work. This is going to help you not over rotate. You're not going to spin out and oversteer when you are laying on the brakes and drifting. And then simultaneously, we turn down the braking force to about half, and this allows you to not give too much braking input accidentally. This kind of just gives you some mercy, so that way you're not overdoing it by accident when you're focusing on everything else. And then the differential settings that we ended up with, and then this kept us from constantly being like pushed straight while trying to maintain long sideways drifts. So as promised, here's the share code. Give it a download, try out the car, let me know what you think of it down in the comments below. I think this is great for intermediate level to maybe slightly more advanced. It seems that this car definitely rotates a little bit more consistently when using techniques like left foot braking while you're drifting. Not 100% necessary, but I think you will find that the car controls really, really well when you do introduce a little bit of that. So your mileage may vary. Anyways, I appreciate you watching it. I hope you like the build, and I'll see you in the next one.